would be today or on the Sunday afterwards, and carries on the symbol that we had all through Advent and Christmas, the symbol of light. In Advent, we remembered that the light of Christ was coming into the world, and how the Israelites waited for that light to come, and the kids lit the Advent wreath, and we remembered physically with the lighting of that wreath. And then on Christmas Eve, we kicked off the 12 days of Christmas, and we lit all the candles on the wreath, and we celebrated that the light had come in the birth of Jesus of Nazareth. And then in Epiphany, what we celebrate is that that light of Christ spread from Jesus to the men and women who were immediately gathered around him, and then to others throughout generations, some of whom we hear about in the New Testament, and then others whom we hear about in church history, others who we know about today, and then finally that this light is given to us. So this service is a way of marking that time. It's a way of marking the light of Christ being spread through the different people. So you'll hear the names of the 12 apostles. You'll hear the names of some other men and women. You'll, in the end, watch as the candles are taken that we brought to the altar and then taken from the altar and placed around the church to symbolize the light going to you. So with that said, let me begin. This is the Feast of Lights. Today we celebrate the Feast of the Epiphany, which begins the Epiphany season. During this season, we remember that the light of Christ has been spread by men and women throughout the ages to the whole world. So first, we light the Paschal candle, the Christ candle, to symbolize the light of Christ. The next candle we light is for Mary, who gave Jesus birth. And if the first person will come up here, Ms. Claudia will give you a light, and Ms. Brigetta will help you place it on the altar. The next candle we light is for Joseph, who was father to Jesus on this earth. The next candle we light is for Jesus' cousin John, who prepared people to receive Jesus as the Messiah. After Jesus was baptized by his cousin John in the Jordan River, he began his public ministry. He chose 12 ordinary men to receive his light. He spoke to them saying, "While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become children of the light." Then he sent them as apostles to spread his light to all people in every race, in every nation on the whole earth. We now light candles for each of the 12 apostles. For Simon, called Peter. For Andrew, his brother. For James, the son of Zebedee. For John, his brother. For Philip. And Bartholomew. For Matthew, the tax collector. For James, the son of Alphaeus. For Simon, the zealot. For Thomas. For Jude. And this 12th one, Miss Claudia will light and then blow out, because we light the 12th candle for Judas. Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. The first witness to the resurrection of Jesus, and one of the first who took the news to the other 12, was Mary Magdalene. From ancient tradition in the church, Mary Magdalene is considered at a status equal to an apostle. Therefore, we light a candle now for Mary Magdalene. Another who is ranked with the original 12 is Matthias, who was elected by the remaining 11 to take place of Judas in their number. So we relight the Judas candle now, because the light that was given to Judas was then passed to Matthias. As the apostles went out into the world to spread the light of the gospel of Christ, there were many who opposed them and didn't like anything they had to say. One of these was a man called Saul of Tarsus. He persecuted the followers of Jesus. He had them arrested. He stood by while some were stoned. And he did that until one day, as he was traveling on a road to betray more of the followers of Jesus, he saw a light. And that was the light of Christ that came to him. And taking the name of Paul, he carried that light throughout the Mediterranean world. We heard some of Paul's words in the second lesson that was read today, which Paul wrote to Christians in the city of Ephesus. Because Paul took the light not only to his fellow Jews, but also to Gentiles, we light this candle for Paul, who was known as the apostle to the Gentiles. The New Testament tells us of many others who also served as disciples, witnesses, and apostles. These include men and women such as Mary and Martha of Bethany, the writers of the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Stephen, the first martyr. We light the next candle for all of the men and women whose stories are told in the New Testament. There have also been men and women throughout the history of the Christian church, up until today, who have continued to spread the light of Christ by their words and by their deeds. People like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., people like Mother Teresa, people like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, to name a few. We light the next candle to honor all of the men and women of faith who have spread the word and the light of Christ in their lives. But not only by famous people is the light of Christ spread. Today, the light of Christ continues to be spread by ordinary boys and girls like you. And it continues to be spread by ordinary men and women like us. Therefore, as an outward sign that today it is up to us to bear the light of Christ unto the world, I ask the children and their helpers to take the candles from the altar and place them on the windowsills and on the back altar, so that the light of Christ is a part of this congregation as we take the light and spread it to the world. May the light of Christ illumine your way. May the light of Christ enlighten your hearts and your minds. And may this light shine through your words and deeds to bless the lives of others this day and forevermore. Amen. I think that the apostles with their cowboy boots and crowns and all should get a big hand. We continue now with the bidding prayers, which you will find on page 3 in the Book of Common Prayer. Tom, will you lead us in these bidding prayers?